So last year we ultimately decided we were going to downsize our garden, but was that really the brightest move ever? Well, in today's video, I'll leave that up to you to decide as I show you what's going on in my garden right now. Let's not waste any of your time and jump straight in. Now I know that this year I haven't really done a sufficient garden tour, so to say, but this is going to be counted as our first one of the season. I know it's been quite the active month. But anyways, you still got the same old door, you just got to pull it open like that. But anyways, you walk into the garden and you're immediately greeted with the strawberry and blueberry patch. The only difference being that, well, yeah, there's a cover up here now, and the reason there's a cover up here is for exactly the reason why you think. Birds. They keep coming in here, and also they figured out that they can go through this little gap right here, so we need to figure out something that we can do about that. But for the time being, it's not too big of a deal. You just got to keep them out of here as long as possible. Either way though, our strawberries, they're flowering a little bit. They're not doing too much though. Obviously, the season has pretty much ended for most of them. However, there will be a secondary peak in September for a couple other ones over here. Let's walk over here, see what else is going on with the blueberries, because I don't really show you guys them too much because they're usually disappointments. And yeah, for the most part, we're actually doing pretty decent. I actually had an old draft version of this video where I showed you guys and I managed to pick a blueberry that's alive and healthy. But unfortunately, that video never really made it at the draft. As you can see though, there's plenty of blueberries popping up on this one. There's a couple on this one, but I feel like the birds have been getting in here frequently and getting into them. And for the other ones, yeah, there's some popping up here. Not really too much happening on these smaller ones as expected, really, but we have gotten significantly more. All I will say is that this year, our total number of harvests for blueberries is in the hundreds. Last year, it was like 5. We've definitely improved significantly on the blueberry aspect. And I'll tell you one thing's for certain, caging up your strawberries and blueberries is definitely a very bright decision if you want to keep them all safe from the birds, and especially the raccoons, because before we had this up here, a raccoon actually went in here and shredded all of these plants, which is why you can see that a lot of them aren't really here. Simply put it, because the raccoon got in here and took all of them. Now thankfully the raccoon hasn't really been back too much. He did try to get one of my chickens the other night though, which is quite unfortunate, but the chicken's fine. It was like right next to the house, so nothing really bad was going to actually end up coming out of it. But either way though, it's quite the annoyance when the raccoon decides not only are your chickens food, but your plants are also food. Now moving into the garden, next year we're actually planning to update this a little bit, so this looks a whole lot nicer and a whole lot more aesthetically pleasing. But for now, it's the same old stuff that you've seen in years prior. Now actually right over here we do have corn growing right here. Well, corn growing is a very strong way to describe what's happening here. There is a grand total of, take a wild guess, A, 100, B, 1, C, 2, or D, 13 corn plants coming up. If you said C, you'd be correct, my friend, because there's only 2 corn plants that I can see coming up here really nicely. That being that one right there, which I might even be grass at this point. I don't even know, but this one's definitely a corn plant. Like you could just tell by simply looking at it that it's a corn plant. Now, in this area though, there's something else I want to show you guys that's actually quite exciting. And that would be some pumpkins going up in here. Now, there isn't too much. It's better than the 8 out of 150 that happened a couple years ago. But yeah, we got plenty of pumpkins. As you guys can see, there's a pumpkin right here. There's some right along this pathway right here that are just coming up every now and then. I'd say we got about like 15 or 20 pumpkins coming in. Like right here, we got some pumpkins coming in. Now you might be wondering, guys, what is the gourds? Where are the gourds at? I know you didn't do them last year. What about this year? Are you doing them this year? The answer is, just wait. I'll show you guys in just a second. Either way though, let's talk about this raised bed right here that we haven't really put into use until now. As you can see though, we have put some stuff in here, which means that there is actually plants growing and alive in here. I don't know what's up with this third one, but if you look in here, there's just weeds in here. But this first and second area of the raised bed does actually have plants. This is cabbage. It's alive and doing very well. And these right here obviously are carrots. These aren't the weeds that you see in your yard that look like carrots, that are actually just posers and aren't real carrots. I really do think that these are carrots though, because I know what a carrot plant looks like. Pretty much everyone watching this video does know what a carrot plant looks like. Either way though, this is what it looks like. This is what it's looking like right now, so it's looking pretty nice. We got some zucchini in here, obviously. We got some cherry tomatoes coming up in this area too. We got plenty of zucchini, I'll give you that. And also some peppers as well. I don't know what these are. I'm gonna be 100 with you. I know this is pepper. I think that's the same thing, but I don't know what that one is fully. I think it's a pepper though. But as you guys can see, there's plenty of zucchinis coming up in here, like you can see right there with the flowers coming on them. That's zucchini. There's plenty of zucchini coming up in here. I think we're actually gonna have a decent year on like last year where we got like 5, and then the rest just died because, well, you know, the raccoon got in here and stole all of it. So yeah, we've had back-to-back issues with it. But if we go into this trellis right over here, there's some cucumbers in here. There's a couple, not many though, and they're all on this side right here, I believe. Actually, no, they're right there. My bad, guys. These, as I said earlier, are all gourds. As I said in previous years, gourds will just sprawl all over your garden and kill anything in its way, unless you put a trellis over it. Because if you put a trellis over it, then you're going to get some gourd plants that are going to grow up the trellis, and aren't going to murder the plants in their way as well. So yeah, we got a couple cherry tomatoes in here. They're not really doing too hot though. But either way, let's move on to this right here. So we got 2 rows of stuff to go over right over here. We got some tomatoes on the first row, some basil with it as well. And we got some peppers on the second row. Now, these 2 are peppers, I'll give you that. But most of these are either bell peppers or the hot peppers. We got some cayenne, serranos, and jalapeno peppers growing all up in here. Now, not as many as last year, I'll give you that. I have no clue why as many didn't make it this year as they did last year. But I still think we're gonna have a really successful year with them, and I think they can go as far as like October like they did last year, because we put these in the ground a little bit late this season. These 2 right here are basil, and I know that for sure. That's basil, and that's also basil. Moving on to this row, I don't really remember what we put in here as far as tomatoes are concerned. We just went to Tractor Supply, picked up some tomato seeds, and just put them in, and now they're growing. I know there are some 4th of July's coming up in here though, which is pretty nice to look at. And we got some weeds coming up over here. I need to take care of these guys soon. They're getting out of control. So yeah, unlike previous years, we have a much smaller, more manageable space. This is more for someone who's just getting into like a year 2 or year 3 of gardening. Unlike what we did, we had a very small garden. That right there was our year 1 garden. And by year 2, we had everything growing in every single hole in that garden. It was quite the big jump, and honestly, we learned a lot from doing something like that though. Either way though, if you want to see all the gardening videos from this season, you should click this video here in the center of the screen and the subscribe button. We're trying to reach 4K very soon, and I think we can do it with your help. Anyways guys, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good night. See ya.